Toots, my name is Joanne and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can tell, we're outdoors.
Pause. Okay, before we start this video, I wanted to mention that the audio in this video is going to be kind of bad because it's my first time filming outdoors. It's going to sound a little wonky and there's going to be a lot of wind noises, so please ignore that. Okay, let's go back into the video.
In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys 17 things that I learned at 17. Since my birthday is coming up, I did a little reflection of some important things that I learned in my life, and I think that this will be nice to look back on in the future. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into the video. The first thing that I learned is that numbers do not define you. A lot of times I find it really easy to let numbers define me. It can really take control of my life in a negative way. For instance, it could be the marks I get, the amount of followers I have, how much I weigh. All these different numbers just can have a really negative impact on me. You are worth so much more than numbers. The second thing that I learned is that you don't need other people's validation or praise to know that you are good enough. As humans, I think it's really normal for us to want attention, to want praise, to want other people to say positive things about us, but even if other people don't say it, it's just important to know your worth at the end of the day. Although it's nice to have praise or attention, you don't need that to be happy in life. It's just what you think about yourself that's most important. The third thing that I learned is that you are good enough. I struggle with this a lot. I sometimes have self-esteem issues, but it's really important to remember that you are good enough. Even in situations where it seems like you're not, self-love is so incredibly important. You deserve everything that you have, and you shouldn't be so hard on yourself. The fourth thing that I learned is that comparison of any sort steals joy. Again, this is another thing that I struggled with a lot throughout my whole life. It's human nature to compare ourselves to other people. It's just the way we are, and it just comes naturally to us. It's important to remember that everybody is at a different stage in their life. There's always going to be people ahead of you. There's always going to be people that have better things than you, but there's also always going to be people that have things worse than you, people who are going to be behind you. It's important to not compare ourselves to other people because we're on our own journeys. Everybody's on a different journey, and comparing doesn't do you any good at all. Unless it's like positive motivation, you just have to continue focusing on your path, focus on your own life, and don't be nosy. The fifth thing that I learned in my 17 years is that somebody else's beauty does not take away from your own. Being a teenager, I find it so easy to constantly compare myself to other people. Whether it be like beautiful Instagram people, celebrities, or even my own friends, or just people in my life. Although it is obviously easy to always focus on outwards appearance, at the end of the day, this is gonna sound cliche and very corny, but what's most important is on the inside. A person can be really beautiful, but they can have like the nastiest personality, you know? And I can't control the way that I look. I'm born a certain way, and I can't hate myself over something that I have no control over. And although it's easy to compare myself to other people, I have good personality and character traits too. So in situations like these, when you want to compare yourself to others, just remember that you have good things about yourself. Yeah, looks are not everything. The sixth thing that I learned is that there's no point in worrying about things that you have no control over. It's just easier not to worry because worrying is terrible for you and your mental health. You're just wasting your precious time. The seventh thing that I learned is that not everyone is going to understand you or your intentions. Obviously, we all have good intentions, I hope, for the most part. People are not always going to understand you or your point of view, and that's okay. Life is not going to be that easy. There's always going to be people that you butt heads with, and you're not going to get along with everybody. Everybody's entitled to the way they act. Not everybody's going to understand you, and that is completely okay. The eighth thing that I learned is that you can truly do anything you put your mind to. Again, it's another corny one that seems pretty obvious, but it's really true. I find that whenever I put my mind to something and I persevere and I give it my all, I can always achieve it. It's just whether or not you have the motivation to do it, whether or not you truly want it, and the amount of time and effort you put into it. But I guarantee you, if you put your mind and heart to anything, you can truly achieve it. The ninth thing that I learned is that life is too short. Take chances, do what you love, and be happy. Again, being a teenager, I struggle with my mood swings a lot, and it's always super easy for me to be negative all the time. What I learned is that life is way too short. Our time in this world is so short, and why would you want to waste it being unhappy or doing things you don't love? Take chances in life, shoot your shot. Obviously, don't do stupid and bad things, but if it's just something you want to try, go for it. Try new things, take some risks, go on some adventures. Life is very short. The 10th thing that I learned is don't try and force situations. If things are meant to be, it'll be. Being human, we always want to have control over our lives and we want things to go a certain way. If things in life are meant to be yours, it'll be yours. Certain doors are going to close in life and certain doors are going to open. There's always going to be other opportunities, there's always going to be other chances, and just because one thing doesn't end up working doesn't mean everything else is not going to work. Obviously, for all situations, try your best, and if things don't happen, then they don't happen. That's okay. The 11th thing that I learned is never change yourself for other people. If people don't like you, then so be it. In life, not everybody's gonna love and accept you. There's always gonna be people that don't like you for whatever reason. It's okay for people not to like you because there's always going to be people that will. There's always going to be people that accept you. There's always going to be people that love you. And if people don't like you, well, then that's their fault. They're not worth your time anyways. The 12th thing that I learned is that you're not perfect, so don't expect other people to be. I know a lot of times I have expectations about certain people. I expect people to act a certain way. I think certain things are obvious, but sometimes people don't think the same way. You shouldn't have expectations of other people because it's their life, it's their choice, and you don't know how they're thinking. You don't want to expect other people to be a certain way and be disappointed because that might just lead to unnecessary grudges against other people. And we don't want that in life. So don't have expectations about other people. Just focus on yourself, your own journey, and your own path. The 13th thing that I learned is don't hold grudges, forgive and forget, because at the end of the day, you're just doing yourself a favor. Again, this is something that I've struggled with a lot throughout my lifetime because I have grudgy tendencies. What I've learned is that holding grudges is so bad for you and your mental health because you're just using your brain for negativity, and why would you want to do that? A lot of times when we hold grudges against people, they probably never meant to hurt you to begin with. Forgiveness is just so important because we want to be forgiven when we make stupid mistakes. Although people do things that can be really upsetting, it's just easier to move on with our lives and not focus on the negative and just move on with the future. Things are in the past for a reason. The 14th thing that I learned is if you tried your best, don't be so hard on yourself. As long as you know that you tried your best and you gave it your all, you should be proud of yourself. As long as I've tried my best and I gave it my all, I should be happy. I put time and effort into it. Even if things don't go your way, there's always going to be next time. There's always going to be other opportunities. It's just really important not to be so hard on yourself. The 15th thing that I learned is that if there's going to be a negative in the situation, there's always going to be a positive. It's so easy to focus on the negatives, but there's always going to be a positive in it. Sometimes you just have to dig a little deeper to find it. You just have to look at it in a different light because I guarantee you every bad situation has something good about it. The 16th thing that I learned is be kind. It's good to be kind in your lifetime because obviously we want other people to be nice to us, and you never know what your kindness can do for another person because it can mean so much to them. We don't know what's going on in another person's life, so we want to do our part in contributing to another person's happiness. In terms of kindness, obviously it's easy to be nice to strangers. We want to make a good impression. It's also important to be kind to the people around you. I struggle with this a lot because as humans we have tendencies to take people for granted. I find that sometimes it's maybe even more difficult to be kind to the people you're closest with. You want other people to be kind to you, so think before you act. Try to be nicer. The last thing that I learned at 17 is that everything happens for a reason. The things in your life fall a certain way for a reason. God has a plan for you. Although it's kind of similar to the things that I've touched on earlier, this is a motto that I always live by and will probably always live by. Everything just happens for a reason. So those were the 17 things that I learned at 17. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if any of that made sense. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and found it hopefully a bit helpful. If you guys liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below because you're here anyway. I post 1 to 2 times every week. I really hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!